Hello people, I'm the Comic Book Gamer. Today I'm going to be reviewing Solo, a Star Wars story, and I'm going to be doing a spoiler review, so spoiler warning if you haven't seen the movie. I know a lot of people don't really care about spoilers and don't really even plan on seeing the movie, so there you go. But if you do plan on seeing the movie and you don't want it spoiled for you, I will be spoiling stuff in this. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, I want to start off with talking about the characters, and of course we got to start off with Han. Han in this movie isn't Han Solo. The key to actually enjoying this movie is realizing that it's someone else. If you can just in your mind go, hey, that's not Han Solo, and think of it as it's about someone else or an alternate reality Han, then you'll actually enjoy this movie, I think. Because overall, it's not that bad of a movie. It's nothing like The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens. It's actually decent. There's definitely a lot of stupid stuff in the movie. It's nowhere near perfect or a great movie, but if you can get past Han, then it's actually an enjoyable, fun movie. It's just Han himself is not Han. Now, Alden Ehrenreich doesn't do a bad job as Han. It's just the fact that I could see 20 other different people playing him and doing it to the exact same effectiveness. It's not like he brings anything unique to where, oh man, if it wasn't Alden, I don't know who would have played Han. It has to be him. It's no. They could have gotten so many other people. He didn't bring anything unique to it. But that being said, he didn't do a bad job either. He wasn't terrible or awful. It's just he wasn't great either. He was just very middle of the road. Like, yeah, okay, he wasn't bad, but he was definitely replaceable. And because of that, it honestly makes it to where it's easy to get past him as Han because he doesn't feel like Han at all. Because that you can just easily go in your mind like that's not Han and move on. But if you can't, then you definitely won't enjoy this movie because his character arc in the original trilogy is negated in this movie, because when you first meet him in the original trilogy, he is this selfish smuggler that cares about nothing but surviving and himself, and that's all he cares about. But in this, he's already the good guy. He's already fallen in love. That's it. There's like his arc in the original trilogy where he learns to actually be a leader and care about others and fall in love when he falls in love with Leia. No, from the get-go he's in love with Qi'ra, and he is already a good guy and altruistic, and he gives them the stuff at the end instead of taking it for money. He's already a good guy, and it makes no sense because then that's where it's like, well, what about his arc in the original trilogy? That makes absolutely no sense. So it kind of ruins the movie there. But if you can go, hey, that's not Han at all, this is just an alternate reality, I'm just going to take this as out of canon, I'm just going to create my own head canon, then you'll enjoy it, honestly, I think, because it is a fun movie for the most part. I would say when I last checked the Rotten Tomatoes score, it was like 60%. I'd say that's pretty accurate. I'd say this is probably like a 6 out of 10 movie. It's nothing that great. It's probably not really worth seeing in theaters unless you see it on matinee. But it's definitely worth checking out if you were ever interested in it. If you were ever interested in the movie, I'd definitely say check it out. But anyways, yeah, so that's my thoughts on Han. Let's move on to Lando. So Lando had a lot of buzz going into this movie because everyone was like, Donald Glover's amazing at everything. He's perfect. He's the best at everything. And I was excited to see him as Lando. When you first hear him, he sounds exactly like Billy D. Williams, like spot on. But then the rest of the movie, he doesn't sound like that again. It is weird. Like, when the first time I heard him, I was like, that sounds exactly like Billy D. Williams. And then after that, he sounds like someone doing a bad impression of Billy D. Williams. That being said, he doesn't do a bad job playing the character, but it kind of sucks because he peaked so early. When you first hear him, he sounds exactly like him. Just trust me. If you've seen the movie, let me know if you thought the same exact thing, because me and my brother, who I went to see it with, thought the exact same thing. Where when you first hear him, he sounds just like Billy D. Williams, and then after that, he wasn't able to hold it. He just sounds like someone doing an impression of Billy D. Williams after that. But again, he doesn't do a bad job. The whole him and the droid thing are kind of weird, especially because they announced he's pansexual. So now Lando might have had sex with a droid. So that's yeah, that's a thing that might have happened. Anyways, Lando was. I liked Lando for the most part, but he wasn't in the movie that much. Donald Glover did a good job, but he wasn't anything outstanding or a scene stealer. It wasn't like, oh man, every time Lando was on screen, that's who you're paying attention to. No, it wasn't really like that. I liked it for the most part, besides like one scene where just stupid. But anyways, I'll get into that in a bit. Then we got Chewbacca, who is probably my favorite character in the movie. I love Chewbacca because Chewie is exactly how you know him in every other movie, and you see him more to a full extent in this than you have in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. Because in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, he's kind of there as the background character, like, hey, everyone knows Chewie. We'll have him do one funny thing in each movie, and that's it. Besides that, he's not going to do anything. In this, he actually does stuff, and I liked Chewie. I thought Chewie was cool. I liked the scene. I laughed at the scene where he ripped the dude's arms off, and Han's like, yeah, it's the uniform that would have fit me perfectly. Thanks, buddy. I like that. I like how they meet when they first fight, and he speaks Wookiee to him. I can't remember the exact name. It's like Sherwook or something is the name of their language. I'm sorry, I can't remember. I know someone in the comments will probably correct me, but yeah, he speaks that. It did sound a little like he sounds awful speaking Wookiee, but granted, any like human should, I guess. So that was fine. But I liked how they met and how they got out of the situation, and then from then on, them being bros. And I liked Chewbacca. Chewbacca was the best part of the movie, in my opinion. He was really cool. But then we have Lando's sidekick, L3, who was hands down the worst part of the movie. She is this droids' rights activist that never shuts up. That is the worst part of the movie, is the fact that she never shuts up. She gets out about 20 words a second. Every time she's on screen, she never stops talking, and she keeps going. It's like they watched Rogue One, saw that people liked K2SO, and were like, oh, we can do that, but they didn't nail it at all. They're like, we'll do a female K2SO, except make her a droids rights activist. He said, she's nothing like K2SO. She just seems like the mirrored, just awful, annoying version. She's so obnoxious. She is one of the worst characters in Star Wars. I think she might be the most annoying character in Star Wars. Way more annoying than Jar Jar. She's definitely up there with Rose Tico and Holdo. Oh my gosh, it's to the point to where if I was trapped in a room with Hitler, Rose Tico, and L3, and I had 10 bullets, I'd shoot Rose Tico and L3 5 times each. That's how annoying these characters are. This is how Disney has been handling some of these characters. It's just, that's basically all I need to say about L3. But one of the worst parts of it is where she talks about how she thinks Lando's in love with her. And if they wouldn't have announced Lando's being pansexual, everyone would have thought that was a joke. But now it seems like, oh yeah, I'm like 99% sure Lando and L3 have hooked up before. Like, Lando has had sex with a robot. I'm 99% sure that's happened, especially considering how he starts like crying when she dies and has to go and pick her up. That was like a scene where I almost cheered in the theater. I legitimately smiled and pumped my fist in the theater when it actually happened though. Like when she got shot, I was so happy. And then Lando started crying going after her and then couldn't carry her and got shot. Then Chewie had to go and pick her. It was weird, but I was so happy she died. And then we have Woody Harrelson's character, Beckett, who I liked. He was probably my second favorite character in the movie. I liked Beckett. I thought Beckett was an interesting character because you can see how he's this sort of mentor to Han, and then in the beginning, what was interesting is his love interest dies, and he feels nothing. I thought that was a little weird at first, but the more the movie went on, I kind of understood it, because at first I was like, wait, what? These two were portrayed to be in love, she dies, and just Beckett doesn't care. But then I realized, okay, he's that type of character. Like, he had already realized that something was going to happen with her, and he had already detached himself from that. He's not attached to any one person at all, and so that she died, he was already ready for that. He had already prepared himself. It didn't matter. He was just having fun with her while she was alive, and then when whatever happened to her, he was okay to let go. He's just like, oh yeah, whatever, and he moved on. I kind of understood that, and I liked the type of character Beckett was. I thought it was cool when he died, when Han just shoots him. I like that they defeated that trope, the normal trope of, oh, let the villain do their monologue and then it gets intense and then they have the fight. No, he just instantly shot him. I was like, okay, I like that. Then we have Qi'ra, who was Han's love interest in the movie, and I hated that because The Force Awakens already did a great job at destroying Han and Leia for me, and now this movie tries to do it even more because it's like, hey, before Leia, Han was already in love. And also, you know those dice? I know it was just a hologram, but you know those dice at the end of The Last Jedi that Luke gives to Leia? Yeah, that's from Han's ex-girlfriend, actually. Han gave that to his ex-girlfriend. So Han has been like recycling gifts. Granted, Han didn't give it to her. It was Luke giving her a hologram, but still, that is awful. That is so bad. Like, you never, oh my gosh, just think of that. Think of that if you gave your girlfriend something from your ex. That is not good. But yeah, Qi'ra as a character was kind of whatever. I didn't care about her at all. Emilia Clarke did a good job as her, but I didn't care about her character at all. She was weird, especially in that end fight. When Han and Dryden Voss are fighting, that fight was weird. I'll get in that in a minute though. But Han's about to kill him. Like, Han was about to shoot him and kill him. Qi'ra knocks the gun out of his hand, and then does her whole bit and then kills him. It was like, okay, you just had to kill him. You couldn't let Han do it. Han was literally about to do it. That was so stupid. I thought their fight was kind of retarded and everything, and it was stupid. Her fight with Dryden Voss was just, I didn't care for it. I didn't care for her character. Now, Dryden Voss was an okay character. He was someone that maybe with more screen time could have been good, but he was just kind of a meh character for me. I didn't really care for him that much. But that fight at the end was weird, because you have a character with daggers, and then you have a character with a gun. Who do you think would be taking cover? You think it would be the character with the dagger, right? No, it's the guy with a gun that is taking cover. It made no sense. I get the fact that Dryden Voss could throw his daggers, but it would take him a lot longer to aim and throw the daggers than it would for Han to pull the trigger and kill him. So that fight was weird, because Han's like, oh, I'm gonna hide and take cover from this man that doesn't have a ranged weapon. It's like, what? You can just shoot him. And also, that was one of my complaints with the movie, is I felt like there wasn't enough Han action. Like, there was action throughout the entire movie, but considering the name of the movie is Solo, Han was involved in hardly any of the actual action. Like, he wasn't doing a whole lot in terms of, like, actually fighting. They did a great job at showing how good of a pilot he is. I like that. Some of my favorite scenes were actually him being the best pilot, and also him, like, gambling. I love those scenes where he's gambling with Lando. I thought those were done really well. But the whole, like, I wanted to see him be more badass with the DL-44. The only scene we really got of that was that one part where he's, where L3 dies. That's like the one part where we actually see him destroying people with the DL-44, and even then, we don't really even see it that much. That's kind of it. I wanted more of that. It was cool seeing Chewie just destroy people. I loved that. I loved Chewie going around and wrecking face, but I wanted more of Han actually kicking ass, considering it is his movie. We got more of Beckett kicking ass than we did of Han, so that was a little disappointing. But yeah, like I said, the gambling scenes were great. I love that when they're playing Sabacc. That ending scene was maybe my favorite scene in the entire movie, where he goes back to Lando. That felt the most like actual Han, Chewie, and Lando out of the entire. It felt just like Empire when they first meet. When he walks up, he's like, Chewie, rip his arms off. And then Lando puts his hands up to protect himself. He's like, whoa, whoa, don't. And you see the Sabacc cards in his sleeve, and Han sees it, and Han immediately goes, ah, buddy. And I love that. And then how he wins the Falcon there. I thought that scene was great. That felt like the scene that that Ron Howard had the most control of. I think that's probably why it was the best, because that felt like the scene that, okay, Ron Howard was able to do the most without having to reshoot or reconstruct from a different script that he had nothing to do with or anything like that. This was actually something he's able to do by himself. And so I thought it was done really well, and I liked it. I loved that scene. I wish more of the movie would have been like that, but yeah, that scene was great. There were two unneeded origin things in the movie, one of those being how he got the last name Solo. It couldn't just be his name, no, he had to actually get it, because when he went to go and sign up for the Empire, and they asked him, oh, what's your last name? Who are your people? And he's like, I have no people. So he's like, oh, Solo, because he's Solo, get it? I thought that was stupid and unnecessary, nothing that ruins anything, but it's just kind of stupid, we didn't need it. Also, I didn't think we needed to see how he got the DL-44 either. Again, these are more minor nitpicks, but still stuff that I didn't think needed to be in the movie. Like, oh, this is how he got the DL-44, he got it from Beckett. It's like, oh, he could have just had the DL-44 at the beginning of the movie, that would have been fine. His name could have just been Solo, instead of just being like, ah, here's how it happened. You know, maybe leave a little bit mystery for the character still, but no, we got all that explained away. The humor in the movie is all over the place. There's some parts that are funny, and then there's parts that are just not, that you could tell they thought were gonna be hilarious, with the part where L3 is like, I can't perform when people are looking at me, and no one in my theater laughed. Like, not even a tiny chuckle. No one laughed. Not at all. There were a lot of scenes like that where it's like, oh, this is supposed to be funny, and just nothing, because it wasn't funny at all. It wasn't there, but they tried. There were some funny parts, but for the most part, a lot of the humor fell flat. And the storyline itself was interesting, but again, it sucks because it negates Han's character arc in the original trilogy. Like, he's already there. He's already there being the good guy. Also, the trailers did show a little too much, because when he leaves, and he's like, oh, I'll come back for you, Kira. And then he goes to Dryden Voss's yacht, and you're like, oh, I know from the trailer he's gonna meet Kira here. If the trailer wouldn't have shown that, I would have thought he would go back to her where he left her. I thought that's what he was gonna do until he went to Dryden Voss's place. I'm like, oh, okay, I know the trailer. The Darth Maul thing was interesting, but if Darth Maul wasn't in Rebels, that would have been so much cooler. I would have been like, oh, hell yes, Darth Maul, I can't wait to see what he's gonna do. We haven't seen him since Clone Wars, but no, we saw everything that he did in Rebels, so we know exactly how he's gonna die and how everything plays out. So that was kind of weird. I was hoping for a Boba Fett cameo, not like Darth Maul, but Darth Maul was still cool. It was cool seeing that they got the voice actor from the Clone Wars and Rebels to play his voice, and they got Ray Park back to actually play him. That was cool. I like that, but it was just kind of weird because we know everything that happens with him, so that part was kind of disappointing. Because if only he wasn't in Rebels, because his entire arc in Rebels was really bad. Like, I loved him in Clone Wars, but in Rebels, the way Maul was handled was so poorly. So very, very poorly. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to talk about. Overall, like I said, if you can get past the fact that it's not Han, I think you will enjoy the movie. It's nothing great, it's nothing spectacular, but if you are interested in seeing it, I would recommend going and checking it out at a matinee price. Definitely go do that. That's what I'd say. If you're never interested in it, or you were on the fence, I would say wait till it comes out on DVD probably. Probably wait till then. But if you were really interested in the movie and you're like, man, I hope it's good, but it doesn't look too great, then I would say check it out at matinee. That's my, and then of course if you were never interested in it, then don't bother. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Solo. I would give it like a 6 out of 10, maybe a 6.5 at the highest. But yeah, I'd probably get like a 6 out of 10. It's not a bad movie, but it's nothing that amazing. It's much better than The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens. That's, I think, what also boosted this movie up for me, is the fact that those movies were so bad. Like, comparatively, this movie's amazing compared to those movies. Like, if you compare it to The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, you're like, oh wow, this is actually a fun Star Wars movie. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole thing. If you saw the movie, please let me know in the comments below. What did you think of it? What were your thoughts on it? And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.